Okay, so I'll be making some very, very interesting comments. Number one comment that I want to make is that Harry, he is basically telling us that the media focused and they were obsessed about his life. Let's take a listen to what he has to say.
And I think there was a real sense of, in some parts, ownership, some parts, parenthood by the British public, feeling as though they had to parent myself and my brother through our teenage years. And then he got married and it was like, great, there's one. Oh, what's going to happen with the other one?
Okay, so this dramatic enactment, what was going to happen to the other one? It is completely an exaggeration of the whole thing. Well, if the media was so obsessed with you and your family and William, not just you, but also the whole family, then why did they not cover the story of William the way they covered yours? The reason they covered yours is because of the obvious reason, and that is Megxit. Meghan Markle, the moment she stepped into your life, it was all over the places. It was so fake. She put you against your own family members. So why the media would not pick up on that? So this is number one point. Now let's move on to the next one.
Experience different forms of that. But to see it happen the way that it happened, I was naive going into it. I didn't realize that the British press would be so big.
Number 2 point is that at 14:20 seconds, he said basically that it is about the British press who portrayed them, Harry, Meghan, in a very negative light, and they followed them. And a lot of the time we have seen, in fact, that was not the case. They, in fact, made up whole stories. If you have watched the Netflix docuseries, they made up a scene where it was shown that the paparazzi, they were chasing Meghan and Harry, but in reality that was not about them. So Meghan and Harry, when they talk about this kind of thing, while the British press, the paparazzi, they're always after us, that is far from any truth. Let's take a listen.
The way that it happened, I was naive going into it. I didn't realize that the British press would be so bigoted, and even if I had, I wouldn't have accepted or understood that they could get away with it. But here we are, and I've now created, or we have...
Another thing that I have noticed during his interview was that he was very, very animated. Basically means he was trying to appeal to the audience, and doing so, he was making his face, like the facial expression, moving his hands, the body posture, the body language, everything. He did everything possible in order to win the hearts and minds of people. And the reason for that is because he is facing backlash and he knows it. But I have noticed that he was doing too much of a facial expression and also hand movements. Another thing that I have noticed is Harry. He was asked by Stephen Colbert indirectly. He almost like appealed to Harry, please grow up. You really need some good advice. Your mother is not alive. Doesn't mean there is no one out there to give you advice. Please grow up. This is exactly what happened at 20-10 seconds.
Do you think of how, do you sort of mentally or spiritually ask for help as to, what can I do to fix this? Any advice she might give you in this moment?
Oh, no! Again, showing Stephen Colbert his desperation, really, that please, Harry, please grow up. If your mother was alive, she would have given you some advice. You would have taken that. But you are not listening to anybody, and that you are lacking in understanding of the whole situation. So this is something very, very embarrassing for Harry and very disturbing too. Throughout the interview, there is another thing that I noticed was that Meghan, the name was mentioned only once by Stephen Colbert. And the context of that was that when he was talking about Harry, Meghan hiding, that is the only time when Colbert, he mentioned the name Meghan, but throughout the entire interview, Colbert, did not mention Meghan whatsoever.
Whatever it is, it's going to have to wait.
Oh, okay. You asked me to bring you whatever I had on the Bailey file. Okay, sorry, zip it up.
That was very, very interesting. Meghan was snubbed by Stephen Colbert and his team by this whole late night show, even though they mentioned other people's name, but they left out the name Meghan.
My brother and I talking at her grave, and how he felt as though she had been with him for a long period of time and helped set him up with life, and that he felt she was now moving over to me. And I have felt her more in the last 2 years than I have in the last 30. Really felt the presence of my mum, especially in the last couple of years.
Another thing is very interesting, which is that even though Harry had Meghan for the last now how many years? 4 years or so. But the last 2 years, he is feeling the need, the emptiness of his mother so much. My question is, did Meghan really come to your life to remove that emptiness from you that you have claimed? Remember, Harry, when he was doing the interview with Oprah right after the Megxit, or even before the Megxit, some of the interviews took place, he said, Meghan came and my life changed. But here we see a very, very different story. His life was not changed. In fact, last 2 years, it just got worse. Take a listen.
I've said quite a lot recently in these in different interviews that I've been doing that I've really felt the presence of my mum, especially in the last couple of years. And I detail in the book my brother and I talking at her grave and how he felt as though she had been with him for a long period of time and helped set him up with life, and that he felt she was now moving over to me. And I have felt her more in the last 2 years than I have in the last 30.
The last 2 years is very interesting because you're 38 and she was 36 when she died. What was that? What is a moment like when someone at a young age loses a parent? For many people, it's a significant moment when you become older than that parent who looms so large in your mind.
So to me, it comes across as something that Harry really should pay attention to, that Stephen Colbert is saying that you are now older than your mother if you compare the time she lived her whole life. Now, should you not grow up? Like Stephen Colbert was like, should you not, Harry, grow up and actually understand and accept the reality for what it is? But obviously, Harry missed the point. But then again, Meghan came to his life, and last 4 years, especially last 2 years, he said, everything is now different. I miss her a lot. I felt that she could have been with me and give me some advice, or I visited her grave, whatever it is, right? So what's the point of loving Meghan so much and holding her hands all the time if you are still feeling that emptiness that you should not be? Because Meghan's supposed to be feeling that void for you, right? This is what he claimed all his life since he married Meghan Markle. But that did not happen. Obviously, in this interview he exposed, he said the truth that, yeah, Meghan Markle was never a positive addition to his life. She was never. She actually brought in more drama, distanced him from his own family members, made him even more empty and hollow. But the fan base of Meghan, Harry, they don't see that. This is the problem. So when you read between lines of what Harry is saying in regards to his relationship with his mother last 2 years, you will see without a shadow of a doubt that Meghan did nothing to his life other than making it more miserable. Thank you guys for watching. You have a wonderful day. Take care.